I'm excited.
I'm excited.
This is the dream scenario. Remember what we said when I said, do you want to come on GBFC? I was like, how good will this be if we've just beaten Spurs? Let alone the fact that we flipping did it 4-3 from 2-0 down, bro.
Mate, I would have just enjoyed having a chat with you if we'd lost 3-1, to be honest with you. But the fact that we won, it makes it pretty decent, to be fair.
The difference is, if we'd have lost 3-1, I'd have called you on WhatsApp and been like, I'm just seeing if you're all right. You know, I just need a bit of emotional support, but I'm going to frame it as if I'm caring about you, you know?
Yeah. It's all right. We can have had a hug, mate. We can have a hug either way, actually, to be fair. Digital hug.
We can. We've got red recording dots. We've got white lights everywhere. And I'm just going to roll in now with the classic. Yes, guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel. And I've committed a sin. I've robbed off of a friend. I have taken Josh Aveste from Joey, and I said to him, look, mate, I just need your man for a day, all right? Josh's links to his channel are in the description. But, mate, how the devil are you? This is a Monday. I think I'm uploading this on Tuesday. But what an incredible weekend that was. It was a feast of football for Chelsea fans, wasn't it?
Mate, we can't say the words, but we do want to say two letters. And the two letters are TC. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. And we didn't even discuss what I was going to title this video or what trophy I was going to plaster over the thumbnail. Of course, I'm going to put the Conference League Cup on there because we're going to win that one. But I did want to discuss this with you today because I think it's like we can all say it in our own ways. We can either put like TC or TR and we can kind of like sugarcoat it and pussyfoot around it a little bit. But I don't want to come to like a definitive answer to that question. I don't even want to say, yes, we're in a title race. No, we're not in a title race. But really, I think what Chelsea fans need to mull in right now is this lovely festive feeling of being at this period of the season and having this ambiguity that looks as though it's headed in a positive direction as opposed to what we have become so accustomed to, which is at this point of the season, we've either lost half of the flipping players to flu and goodness knows how many hamstring injuries, or like you look at the table and we're just like, well, what the bloody hell are we doing there? We're second in the league. Yeah. We are in incredible form. We're playing in midweek and we're winning those games and scoring goals. I can't remember how many goals we scored total this season. But do you think this upward trajectory that we're on right now is sustainable? Because I think that's what's putting people off saying title race. What do you think?
Well, mate, I'll let you know how many goals we scored. It's 35. It's the most in the league. So
in the Prem, but total.
In the Prem. Yeah. But, I mean, look, let's be honest, mate. We know that we can score goals. We know that we can win games in any way. Like, even if we go, to be fair, even if we conceded 5, I think we probably could still get 6, to be fair, in most games. Like, think of that Wolves game. We could have easily had 10 in that game. I mean, the Southampton game with the B team, we could have had 10.
14, but I'm going for. That's what we deserved that night.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine if we actually put an A team in that game. It would have been absolutely ridiculous.
I know.
So yeah, look, mate, to answer your question, right, is it sustainable? Well, if you look at the next 7 fixtures... Next 7 fixtures are pretty interesting, right? So Brentford at home. I'm going to look down because I'm going to check my notes here. Brentford at home, Everton away, Fulham at home, Ipswich away, Palace at home, Bournemouth away, and Wolves at home.
Are we absolutely delusional to say, and I watched your video post-match from the Spurs game, your immediate reaction, and you said there's no reason why we can't get 21 points out of that. And I concur. Like Leonardo DiCaprio in whatever that movie is where he says that phrase often.
Catch me if you can, mate. Catch me if you can. Classic film.
It. I look at this and I'm like, this is the part of the season where momentum can either take you one of two ways. It doesn't matter in previous seasons because Man City can be behind at Christmas. They can have a slow start to the season and it comes to February and then all of a sudden they've got that 13-match win streak in them. But this year, I think they're too far behind at this stage. And I don't actually think that squad has got it in them anymore to go on that run. No. So I think when it comes about Chelsea being sustainable in terms of the form, there's no reason why we can't win all of those games. But to say that and set that as the expectation would be a bit foolish because, like, this is Premier League. But
yeah, and look, I had a few comments on my videos just saying like, let's just calm down a bit. Do you know what I mean? Like you are getting a bit of ahead of yourself. Liverpool are further in front of us, and yeah, they do have that game in hand. And that game now, by the way, apparently isn't going to happen until February, which is interesting in itself. But I will just say this. Even if we do mention these words and Chelsea fans start getting hyped, which I think is absolutely fine to do, by the way. I don't think we should ever be ashamed of getting excited about being in a title race. Even if we do that, the pressure isn't on us. The pressure isn't on Chelsea. Like, quite frankly, if we capitulate and we end up finishing 5th, that's still like, yeah, you go, oh, we've dropped a position. But at the start of the season, we take that. That's going to probably get us Champions League football 5th. So, quite frankly, there's no pressure on us. There's a huge amount of pressure on Arteta and Arsenal because they need to actually do something, right? There's a huge pressure on Liverpool now because they're leading the race by a considerable amount and they should absolutely just convert and run away with it. City, huge amount of pressure. Pep Guardiola committed for another year. They've got aging players. They've got players that should be playing at the top level. And ultimately, there's a car crash waiting to happen with that, to be fair, with the charges, with the punishment, with all those players then potentially wanting to leave. So, mate, like, we could just play this now and just have fun with it. And I think you can see with the players that they are just having a bit of a laugh with it. The camaraderie, the team spirit that we have at the moment is so exciting. So I don't see why we should be ashamed about being excited about this race, mate. Honestly, I don't.
I think at the moment, Chelsea are we're dressing up in a suit to attend a first date. And every woman who sees a man turn up in a suit to the first date is either going to look at it one or two ways. He's a little bit too serious, or he takes himself very seriously and it's respected. And I think right now, that's the position that Chelsea are in. And I didn't expect us to be this tidy. I didn't expect us to be this clean. And I think I've always looked at football and I've been like, obviously we all want to wake up and look at a performance from yesterday and think, well, wasn't that just exciting? A bit like yesterday. It wasn't perfect, but it was exciting. But I think as well as it not being perfect, it is perfect because not only can we go and score 5 at Southampton, 6 at Wolves, blow teams away, destroy Aston Villa, make them look like bang average, but we can go and have an absolute stinker of an 11 minutes, go 2-0 down in a stadium where I think Tottenham Hotspur's recent history can be defined by the fact they've got great acoustics. It's the only thing they've got going for them.
The trumpeting at the start of the game was exquisite, mate. I was very impressed.
It kind of made me a bit nervous. I'm not going to lie. I looked at the lights. I looked at the darkness. I was like, oh, here we go. It's a big team. Tottenham are up for this one, haven't they? But Chelsea ground it out. But it didn't feel like a ground out win. We just dusted off our shoulders and flipping straightened that tie up a little bit and just delivered again.
Can you imagine what would have happened if this game was 2 years ago and we'd gone 2-0 down in the first 11 minutes? Can you imagine the score at the end of that game?
Even if we would have gone 1-0 down, the amount of times I've watched Chelsea since we won the Champions League and we go 1-0 down, even against dog shit football teams, right? And I just know that we are not going to maybe have a shot on target, certainly not going to get a draw, absolutely not going to win a football game. Right now, I think 2-0 down yesterday, I was pessimistic, you know. It's deflating. I think I described it as on my stream. It's like you get so hyped up for a derby match, and then within 11 minutes, you're flipping, in my opinion, one of the players of the season who's put the wrong shoes on and he thinks he's playing in a fucking futsal cage. But
they looked like they had studs on them. I didn't get that. They looked like they were pretty decent. It was a weird moment.
Someone's going to go through the bins at Spurs and they're going to get themselves a nice little Sunday League gift there if you've got the same size feet as Marc Cucurella. But I want to talk to you about him a little bit because when I look for obviously, the praise all usually falls on Palmer. Jackson has had, rightly so, a lot of praise this season. But I think Marc Cucurella, for me, epitomises the evolution of this Chelsea team. I can remember you and I and Joey and Georgie, not that she was adding too much football intellect to the conversation.
Oh, she knows all about Marc Cucurella, mainly his hair. She knows all about that conditioning, to be fair.
It's the lesson she's had, mate. She's learning from the very best. So we spoke about him there and we were still on the fence. In the studio, we did those videos in Joey's studio, and we were talking about Kucurella still being a bit of a liability. But look at that change in the second half. Positionally, for me, I think it was obviously Gusto coming on at right back enabled Kucurella to be more advanced. But to be able to turn a game around like that when you are the laughing stock of the stadium, what a credit to that man, the way that he's turned it around.
I love him. And ultimately, look, I don't think anyone is out there right now begrudging Kucurella. You know, he slipped. He made a couple of mistakes. Quite frankly, even on the second goal, though, I have to say the defending after the slip should have probably been better. For Kulusevski to cut inside, get a shot away, beat both Levi Colwill and Romeo Lavia, I think it was as well. I think was
Yeah.
a shame. But look, Mark Kucurella has had probably one of the most phoenix rising moments and careers that you could see in any footballer. And you look at the way that he was treated. Basically, he was teacher's pet, wasn't he? Of Potter coming in, Potter was said to have wanted him for a long time, and he comes in, puts in a few stinkers. Chelsea fans get on his back. Ultimately, don't really rate him, think that he's done. And what I love about him, and I think a lot of players are doing this right now, is they're taking the criticism on. I remember back in the day for Chelsea, we had we had egos, and rightly so, because they were elite players, right? And when the fans did get on their back, that was kind of the end, wasn't it? There are so many examples of that, like a Morata, or there's loads of examples, right, of players that have done that. Whereas now, for example, like Mark Kucurella is one, but Noni Madueke is another. Like, we've had moments with him where we've gone, come on, you need to start performing. You need to start delivering in the big games. You need some consistency. And the fact that not only the fans are coming round to players like this and seeing that they are quality, it's also the manager. The manager's out there and he's just saying, I've got quality throughout the pitch, throughout the squad. But also, if you make a mistake, that isn't a death sentence for me. I want to improve you. And ultimately, I think this is where modern management's got to go now. You can't just write off a player anymore. Like, whatever squad you inherit, you've got to try and make them better, even if they do end up leaving the football club. But you have to say he's improved so much, irregardless of even a manager, Kucurella, now. And I really do feel that he'll kick on. And to be fair, mate, he's already now up there in terms of best left-backs in the world. Like, you've got Theo Hernandez that I think could be a discussion. But beyond that, like, you look at what he's won, you look at the performances that he does week in, week out. I don't think there are many people out there that I'd prefer at left back now over him. Would you agree?
Do you know what the funny thing is? I'm also thinking that about countless different players in this team. Cole Palmer's a non-negotiable. We might as well just not waste everybody's ears. We both agree that he's absolutely starting in any team.
Yeah.
Caicedo's in that bracket as well. I think, as much as the defense is a problem, I think Levi Colwill's influence on the games right now is massive. I think it's kind of going under the radar a little bit because it isn't so... His role in the team isn't necessarily as defined and important in terms of what we're doing, which is scoring loads of goals. But if you look at the way that he was stepping up and a lot of the passes he was making were advanced up in the field, every game that we're seeing right now from Chelsea, the coverage that we have all over the pitch is absolutely immaculate. And the teams that we're playing, even the Villas, the Tottenhams, they're spending the majority of their time on the ball inside their own box, deep inside their own half. It's absolutely suffocating what Chelsea are doing. And I think Kucurella is a great example. There's plenty of other players as well. Enzo Fernandez, the redemption arc of this bloke is just absolutely astonishing. But I think all of a sudden, across the field, Chelsea have got players here that we always knew could come good. Whether we thought it was going to be at Chelsea or not is a different story. I didn't think Enzo Fernandez could do it in the Prem. And I'll happily admit that every time I praise him, I'm like, I know I got it wrong. I know you lot are going to be like, oh, look at Benson, little flip-flop boy. Whatever. It is what it is. I genuinely believe that. Now I see this and I'm like, Chelsea are going somewhere. But I wanted to kind of discuss today about this title challenge. I didn't want to pussyfoot around it, as I said. But is there something where you can actually sit here and define the answer to that as being no? I think I know what it could be if it was me. But what would you say, Josh, to the people on GBFC as to why we're not in a title race?
I suppose the easiest answer really is the way that Liverpool are playing. Like, Liverpool are so exquisite right now. They really don't look like they're going to put a foot wrong. And I really do think it's going to come down to that reverse fixture against them to determine whether the race is truly on. Like, if we do win that game and win it in a fairly convincing way, then, their morale's going to be on the floor and their confidence is going to be on the floor, and it's a different story. But the way, like, let's be honest, if they had played Everton, and obviously that game was postponed, called off, and again, as I say, it can happen in February now. But if they did play that, they probably would have won it. And then there would be less... not a hysteria, but I suppose less confidence of Chelsea fans now pushing towards it when it's only 4 points as opposed to 7. So I think that's probably the reason. Is that what you would have said? Or do you think there's other factors here? Do you think the Arsenal factor's a thing? Or I
think Arsenal are going to be there, but I mean, just look at if Arsenal, if teams all of a sudden, this is another thing I just think, which is an outside football point, but I think the way that Arsenal are getting hammered for the way that they're scoring goals right now is just fundamentally wrong. I think teams just need to learn how to defend against that. And I do think it's one of those things where right now Arteta is getting the most out of what he's got. And I think if January comes around and Arsenal sign a proper striker, because Kai Havertz isn't that, then I've got a funny feeling that narrative will change, because Arsenal will start being a better side that don't just score goals from corners. But I think Arsenal, when you look at them in open play, like there's been countless times this season, their XG from open play is even less than 1, which is outrageous for a team that are supposedly in a title race. And then I don't want to be looking at all of this and thinking about these little factors and then looking at just how quite brilliant we've been game after game, improving week after week, a manager that can change things depending on who we're playing. And like, even as fans in the armchair, right, or even in the stadium, sometimes you watch Chelsea and we're like, we think we know all the answers. We're like, would have bought him on at half time, should have bought him on at 60 minutes, not 82, and then wonder why we don't get any changes. Maresca's doing things that I didn't even think were the right call. I didn't think bringing Lavia off was the right call. But then I look at it and I'm like, well, look at the control we had. We had 82% possession for the first 15 minutes of that second half. The man is a genius. And I think it's that quiet ticking over right now of just constant improvement, nonchalant little looks at the camera with like, you know, when you smile, but like you don't smile, you just like, your mouth is like poised, but it's, you're not disappointed. You're not unhappy. He just keeps answering the same way.
You're meant to be explaining right now how we're not in a tight race, and it's ended up being Maresca's
see what I mean? You see what I mean? But like, to get back on track, actually.
I love that, by the way.
I said I wanted it to be a feel-good video, and it's been a bloody feel-good video, right? But it is the defensive woes. And I don't want to just shove Sanchez under the bus. But, I mean, we're going to tell him that the bus didn't come. We're not going to shove him under it. We're just going to tell him that it's just don't get on it. I think Chelsea, if we sign a top-class goalkeeper and maybe a top-class centre-back, if Fofana's going to be out injured, then I don't see any reason why, with the run that we're on right now and the way that we're playing now, how can we not envisage this continually improving?
Oh, so Sanchez is your main reason why you don't.
I was hoping you were going to say it, so then I wouldn't be the one.
No, I'm not saying
Benson.
it.
Think of something different.
Yeah, I'm not saying it. I do think that Liverpool's form is probably the main reason why we won't win the league. To be fair, but I think the Sanchez issue, the Sanchez problem, right?
Yeah,
is a fascinating one for two reasons. One, everyone keeps saying, as you say, we need to sign a goalkeeper. I disagree. I don't think we do need to sign a goalkeeper. I think we got Jorgensen, who is on the data side of it, by the way. And we all know that Chelsea board, analysts, manager as well, all look at the data. The data is very good for Jorgensen. And he's proven that both at his previous club and at Chelsea, the data is really good. And so I do... What my sentiment is I think they're going to give Sanchez probably now until the end of the season, unless he makes a series of howlers. And then I think Jorgensen will be the heir apparent and take over from there. But the other thing is we've got Mike Penders coming in, who's this sort of, really young, exciting next Thibaut Courtois goalkeeper, who I think they'll end up shaping to become the sort of the next heir apparent, right? They're already future planning in that level, which is beautiful. So I do think the mistakes of Sanchez are sometimes overdrawn in terms of the impact that they have in terms of the overall result. Like, I think, yes, he can make mistakes. Yes, he can give a goal away or two. But I don't think he's going to cost us too many like actual points.
Because we'll just outscore teams.
Yeah, I think the other end of the pitch is so potent, so exciting that I think it will negate that. But I think there is a salient point in that the defence is open. And I think you saw in the first, not even just the first 11 minutes, really the first half an hour, really, when you've got the three at the back, and that three at the back comprises a Kucurella who, really wants to not be bombing on, but you know what he's like. He's a left back, right?
Wants to be getting forward a lot more.
Yeah. And then it's Badiashile on the other side who is so difficult to pin down his quality because he has so many fantastic games. And then I think really he had it was a bit anonymous for me against Spurs. And I think in those big games, you need the central defenders to really stand up. Like you look at the way that Virgil van Dijk and Konate stand up for Liverpool. Like no one's getting around them. If you manage to outpace Canate, then you've got to beat Virgil van Dijk, who's the best one-on-one defender in the world in world football. So I think when we're talking about signings, mate, that area for me, the centre backs, would be like the key thing that I do think we need to strengthen, because quite frankly, I'd love to know what you think on this, right? But quite frankly, if it was my call, I'd have probably Badiashile as my sort of like fifth centre back. I'd probably retain him, but I'd keep him as the fifth. And then I would personally, I don't love Tosin or Disasi. I don't love either of them. Like Tosin was a really good signing, good fee in that it was nothing, and I don't think he's on huge wages either. And Disasi, I think actually was a mistake from the start, to be fair. But what do you think
of
those?
Very expensive mistake. Like we spent the same amount on him as we spent on Cole Palmer, so that's comparatively all you need to know. But I think when you look at that game yesterday at Spurs, you've got Badiashile, who's a left-footed centre-back, who sometimes looks as though he's someone that's just stuck like a lump of lead up his arse. Like the ball bounces off of him. He doesn't like. He's a great passer of the football, but when he's in that confident left-sided centre-back space, which is absolutely Colwell's now. So if Caicedo's going to be getting forward as that inverted fullback and Kucurella is on his ass because he's got the wrong studs on, asking Badiashile to be playing with Heung-min Son, one of the best left-sided players in the Premier League for the last 10 years, coming at you, like no wonder it just looked a little bit shaky. So I think
Did you notice
they
switched in the second half?
Yes.
Colwell and Badiashile. That was it. That was interesting in itself.
And that was great because at that point, Chelsea were playing pretty much the whole game inside Spurs' half because Kucurella was that little decoy player that was getting forward more. We would find Enzo Fernandez scores a quite magnificent half volley on the edge of the area. But like, it's the options that we've got. And I mean, the fact that so many people can get pissed off at us that we can even consider spending more money. But considering like the talent that we've got coming through next summer in attacking areas, which how could we possibly ever want more attackers, you may ask? Well, don't worry. We've got the next real big thing is coming through the door. Esteval. If you don't know him, Google him,
get to
chat GPT him, just get to know. All right.
Yeah.
But defensively, I honestly think that is the only area. And it's still not bad. We're still improving massively. But I think a right-sided centre-back that can partner Colwell long-term, that we're not just like taking a punt on, that for me would be the 100% priority right now for Chelsea. Absolutely.
Yeah, we've got that young kid coming in, haven't we? Anselmino, they've signed. I believe. Would you know this? Is he left or right sided? I think he might be left sided. Weirdly, actually,
I think he's left. I don't know that for a fact. Someone's going to tell us in the comments, so we'll all know. Just go and check the comments. Get involved. All right.
I think he is left sided. I think he is.
If you'd have asked me this 3 or 4 months ago, though, I'd have been like, "Well, can't rely on another youngster to come in." But I feel like all of this youngster thing now has just kind of been debunked a little bit. Because, yes, we've got a young team, but it's just working.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get you to tell me we're going to win the league, Josh. I am.
I've said it from the start, mate. I've said it from the start. I've got no problem with admitting that I think we are. But what I was fascinated by was that the other reaction. And I think the other side is fascinating because I think there are people out there that are so hurt and scarred by the last few years, and maybe it's actually even beyond the last couple of years. Maybe it's even because we haven't won the Premier League in 7 years? Is it more than that now?
It'll be 8 years in 2025.
There you go. So I think people are so scarred and so traumatized by the fact that we have always been nearly men in the last 8 years that they now don't want to utter the fact that we could potentially be in this. But the fact of the matter is, Guardiola's era seems like it's falling and crumbling to pieces. And really, let's be honest, those are the ones that we should really be worried about at the start of the season. And you look at Man City and their imperious form, the way they've won leagues over and over again. Slot's Liverpool have started the season so exquisitely well, and they look like a great team. And as I say, they're really the only true. They're going to be winning the league. They should be, to be fair, the position that they're in now. But you don't know how they're going to react if they get a few injuries. You don't know what's going to happen to them. And then Arsenal, you mentioned it earlier on, mate, but the fact that they can't score goals from open play is a serious issue. And there's getting a lot of banter about Stoke City and Tuesday nights and that sort of thing. But if you can't score an open play goal and your strikers are so sort of blunt, then that is not a way to win a title. We saw that in that season where we barely scored any goals oh fuck mate, can you remember who was up front for us in that season that we didn't score any goals? Who was it that didn't? Oh, it was Kai Havertz. Yeah, I just remembered that. Yeah, what a fucking surprise. So yeah, I think, mate, why not dream about these things? Why not just enjoy it? Why not enjoy this moment? And also, when was the last time we were in a title race? Let's just have fun with it. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're not, when we say we're in a title race, we're not going, we should win the title. We're saying, we're in the conversation. Good. Brilliant. Why not?
I think you've absolutely hit the nail on the head, and I'll round it up by absolutely agreeing with you. I'm not saying just because we've won 5 in a row in all competitions and one of them was flipping Noah's Ark, all right? I'm not saying that it's a nailed on. I'm not saying that we're the favourites. Of course, we're absolutely not. But football is about dreaming. Football is about aspiring to go up another notch. It's about dreaming that one day you can see your team lift that trophy. And I tell you what, it might not be this year, but if it isn't this year, it's going to be next year. And right now, Chelsea are just pottering along. And we thought we were going to be pottering on for many, many years. But he pottered off.
We did.
And then Poch came and he's potched off. All right, we've got the real deal now. We've got the real deal. Italy is back in West London. Josh, mate, I've absolutely loved this. So we both agree we're going to win the league. We should do this again. Thank you so much for coming on GBFC, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Mate, I love being here. I think you are the best Chelsea creator by an absolute mile, joint with Joey Knight.
I was going to say.
You and Joey are title racing yourselves. You're up there.
We're the boys. We're the boys. I need to get him on again soon as well. People have been asking, but guys,
mate,
if you
Joey
haven't already,
Knight would be
Josh's
here
links down below.
In a heartbeat. I
might drop him a message, actually. Maybe this is the week. Tell you what, we'll win the next game, and then we are going to win the league, aren't we? Because that'll be another win in a row. Then no one can tell us we're silly. No one can tell us we're stupid.
And then we'll do a threesome.
Oh! Oh! My Lord.
If that doesn't get you excited, nothing will. If that doesn't get you excited.
Ladies and gentlemen, Josh knows what he's doing, doesn't he? He knows how to speak. Whether it's to the ladies or the gentlemen, I'm flustered. I'm flabbergasted. Josh's links are down below. Subscribe to GBFC 2 if you're new around here. Smack a like on this one, and we'll see you later. Come on, you Blues.